It's Thursday. We're taking the black car back up. I drove it home last night, and compared to the red one, good old Springy, this is, as I said last night, this has been such a pleasure to drive. It's smooth and so refined and comfortable, and to me, what suits the M5's character and personality so much more than a car that rides like a minecart. Steering wheel is stuck all the way out. It will not telescope back in, though it does tilt up and down with some noise. So I'm guessing either the motor or the linkage for that is bad. I don't know if and where that's fused. Never really had to deal with that before, and he didn't ask us to. This one needs a rear view mirror. It's got the bubble, looks like it's been there a long time. Pixels are good, only 89,349 miles. The full leather black sport interior is always a win. It's got some dash shrinkage, don't they all, especially a California car. This one, unfortunately, has the Ionin head unit, a totally butchered rear left trunk oddments door with an aftermarket amp. There's a ground strap that somebody just screwed right into the frame rail there, the rear like bumper strut frame chassis rail. Just a Phillips screw and drilled it right into the bodywork for the ground for the amp, so that's nice. Let's see, everything seems to work on this car. I haven't tried folding the mirrors or anything. I think it's an April 2000 with no options, but clutch and everything, we did the clutch on this. It feels fantastic, nice light linear clutch pedal. I don't know why some of them are light, some of them are hard. I've replaced the slave cylinders, bed everything out, new clutch and flywheel and pressure plate and that whole kit, and they just feel different. So I'm wondering if that's the master cylinder at the pedal that wear differently, or maybe the clutch bushings themselves. They've got that like two little black bushing things that I think can cause squeaking. In fact, I believe UUC made a performance clutch pedal bushing kit years ago. Those are a real bitch to change, so I would never do that unless I absolutely had to. But I think he's going to pick this up this afternoon. That's good. We'll get one out on the Imola Red / Caramel car, the one that's still floating around. We took it over to our alignment shop, asked them, A, check the alignment, make sure this is right. B, get under the car, have your techs look at it, and tell us what we're missing. We're so frustrated with this and just beating ourselves over the head, and we cannot figure out why. The car's not driving great. So they checked the alignment. Alignment's fine. Got under the car. The only thing they see that isn't pretty and perfect and right are the rear upper control arms, which I had noted to the customer before. But we see that all the time. Low mileage cars, high mileage cars, those bushings back there always look like shit, and there's no play in them. I've pried and pushed and pulled and done everything I can trying to see some sort of play, and there's not. But a 6'3", 160-pound guy with a crowbar, with a pry bar, is nowhere near the same as a 3,800-pound sedan trying to dance on those rear arms. So I let them know that. Even with my best pricing, it's still right around $1,000 plus another alignment to replace those. So it's sounding like he wants to go with a Dynon rear sway bar and then the unicorn range that Jed does for Einhorn Industries on the front sway bar, and see if that makes a difference, which I imagine it will. But that may be just kind of putting a band-aid on a larger problem if those rear upper arms do indeed have play under load. And they do fold. Look at that. That's pretty much everything working. No sunshade to test. This doors, that's always missing. These things, as I said last week, right? And all of the linings are peeling out of them. Parking brakes pretty tight. Dash vent, oh yeah. Yeah, a little crack up there in the corner. Par for the course. What's up? Yeah. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake. Look at that. No warning lights, full tank of gas, time and date set, cold AC. About damn time. She's a V8 again. Thursday and a E60 545 day. We made a ton of progress on this thing today. Went out for a little drive, and for a few minutes we had a completely clear dashboard with no check engine lights and ARS lights and DSC and ABS and DTC and airbag and seat belt and brake and all of the other lights that have been on in this car for the entirety of the time that we've had it. So we kind of started out chasing all of these weird things and all these codes. We had 64 codes throughout all the modules at one point. So this car has had a tumultuous life. It's been converted to a manual. It's been off the road for 4 years. It's had its engine out and rebuilt. It has an E60 M5 rear end, brakes, full interior. When I say rear end, I mean the whole subframe, diff, axles, wheel carriers, control arms, suspension, everything on this thing's M5. Long story short, it's been through a lot, and we don't quite know what's been poked and tampered with. If you recall, I couldn't get it to start for several days because the starter motor wiring was run to the back of the transmission instead of the starter motor. So we had to get that connected, and then we finally got it running. Then we had the issues with the engine, the secondary levers on cylinder 2. That's been corrected. We have 2 codes left in the DME. One is the E-Box fan. That code is pretty much on all these cars by now. He doesn't want to proceed with that. Code number 2 is the thermostat map cooling, which he claims was replaced with the engine rebuild, though I also heard that about the coil packs, and they had 2003 build dates on them. So I don't know if they did that or not. Definitely think we need a thermostat. That code immediately returns. You can clear it and then cycle the key, turn the engine back on, and it immediately comes back with check engine light. Anyways, we kind of went through the fuses today. We did go through the fuses. Mike was in the car. I'm reading the schematic in the trunk. Number 1, 30 amp. First question is it there? 2, is it the correct amperage? 3, take it out, put it on a multimeter, see if it has resistance. We found about 8 fuses that were entirely missing. Several other ones were the incorrect amperage, and other ones were blown. So we went through all of that. That got rid of our ABS, ARS, DSC, and brake lights, the ARS system or active roll stabilization that this car is equipped with. This is an extremely well optioned 04 545i, and then he's retrofit soft closed doors, the heads up display, and all the M5 stuff. But that solved a lot of our problems, was just improper fusing. So now we're at 14 codes. Some of them are stupid, like the DME box fan, like the little vent fan and the HVAC control panel doesn't work, so it throws a code for that. The rear air ducts, fresh air ducts, are not plugged in, and they have a little red to blue slider on them, like on the front dash. Actually, the E60 doesn't have that on the dash. It's an iDrive, but it knows that's not plugged in, so there's a code for that. But we've gotten through most of the big ones. We have a servotronic air in the steering. The steering is super heavy. Customer said to replace the servo, so that's coming tomorrow. We took off the stiffening plate, and it's up in here somewhere. It's not that sensor with the black plug. I think it's on top of that, so I have no doubt that it'll suck to get out and replace, though we can do it. Then we went to the brakes. We're in 4 cans of brake fluid so far, and we're still getting bubbles. It is 50-50 air and brake fluid in this car, and there's got to be a leak somewhere. We're going to have to chase that. He says that he replaced the brake booster and maybe the master cylinder with the engine rebuild. The clutch was bled and bled well, so I don't think they did the brakes. All the fluid was blue that we took out. So it was blue for like 2 bottles worth, and then finally we started getting this stuff pushing through the lines. I've never had to use 4 cans on one car before. That's ridiculous, but we're going to have to check the tightness of all fittings, get a look at the master cylinder, see if it's leaking. Really, we'll let it sit overnight and see if that pedal's still really soft tomorrow. But so far, we think it's about 90% of the way there. Want to do more work on the front brakes. Though those pipes aren't that long, we shouldn't have to push that much fluid through it. We got the engine back together, like the beauty covers and the DME box lids back on. We still have some of the cowling to go, the cabin air filter boxes and stuff like that. But we are making a lot of progress. It is fully drivable. We found that this front left tire kept losing a lot of air, and, well, that'll do it. So that's going to have to get patched. Looks like it's just inside enough to patch that. So lots of progress, as I've said, more to go. I'd love to get it out of here. We have a couple other bigger projects coming out, so that's got to go. King Kong. So the original clutch and flywheel were removed at 67,000 miles. And the previous owner put in the UUC lightweight, the V12 conversion, super lightweight. It's like 5 pounds compared to the 45-pound original one. Flywheel, and then the non-self-adjusting clutch disc and pressure plate. So he thought the car was stuck in first. It was actually stuck in third. When he drove it up the truck, he completely destroyed the clutch. and flywheel. There are pieces of the clutch on the flywheel after only 7,000 miles, but I have no doubt all that damage was done slowly driving it up a truck in third gear, slipping the hell out of the clutch. He said it was smoking and it smelled odd. Well, that's clutch. So he took pictures of the original clutch and flywheel that were removed at 60-some thousand miles or 77,000 miles, and they're also destroyed. Customers kind of just really upset. He just bought this car and did not expect at all to be putting this much money into it, rebuilding a transmission, rebuilding most of the driveline, the shifter, and now a clutch and flywheel. So really we're just pending on that to see what he wants to do next. This one is still awaiting an MPI. This one, the bouncy car, not the bouncy car, that's the bouncy car. The Sway Buick M5 is back. It was at All German Auto for about a week. They checked the alignment again. The alignment is perfect. I cannot make the alignment any better. Everything aligns great. The only thing that they're seeing that isn't right, did I already talk about this on the way up? I feel like I did. It's been such a long day. Rear upper control arms. So we got to dig in that. Actually, he wants to do the Dynon rear sway bar and the Judd Unicorn reins. I did talk about that this morning, and see how that fixes things. That's going to be a Band-Aid though. If it needs rear upper control arms, making the rear sway bar stiffer may help compensate for that, but it's not going to be a full solution. So I got to work with them on that. The Orlando car, we're still awaiting another M5 rear wheel so we can get a set of 4 that are straight, refinished, boxed up, put in the trunk, and then that car is ready to go to Orlando after the detail, which is on Monday. It goes down to Elite Finish for a nice detail. Danzo 1M5, we received the new integral links today. I put them in, but I didn't torque them to spec. So that's that shiny bar below the axle. Same deal over here. Got the ball joints done yesterday. When we get the H-arms next Wednesday, we'll be able to put all that in, lower the car on the ground, and then pretty much everything we've undone has to be torqued at ride height. He did approve new stabilizer links, so we'll be getting those in soon. F10's chilling. My car axles, so they've been picked. They supposedly were going to be shipped today. I should see them on Monday, if not tomorrow, so that should allow me to get the car up to LA on Monday to have the rear suspension work done. Wow, lots going on here. The black car's outside, and that's what I'm going to be taking home today. He was going to come get it today, but that didn't happen. He's going to get it tomorrow, so I don't have to endure the skateboard M5 for tonight. Now, yesterday, when we moved in this place, I found this label maker, and it did not have a power supply for it, so we kind of just shoved it in a drawer and forgot about it. Well, I realized I wanted to label all these drawers and stuff, so I dug it out, read the spec on the side. It wants 7 to 9 volts DC. Also included with this place were those old phones, like the cordless phones that sit in the base charger, and the power supply for those outputs at 9 volts DC, and the connector fit, and it works. Kind of a dim display, though it does work. So we got that going. It already had some paper in it, which I have now exhausted. Like if I try to print that, I'll show you what it does. We just get the end of the paper roll. But I have been labeling stuff feverishly for the last day and a half, which is going to help productivity a lot. Looks like that is it. That's all the paper we get. It gets those lines on it. So I labeled all of this stuff yesterday. I hate that it wastes an inch before and after, but that's how they get you to buy new paper. So everything's labeled all the way down. And then today, our new parts stock is really growing. We've come a long way with that. And I hate waiting for stuff that we know every car needs. So we got about halfway done today, labeling more professionally exactly what is here. This is all in an inventory management system. So I can type in a description or a part number. It'll tell me how many I have, where they are, what they cost, where they come from, etc. So I got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more tomorrow. When I get the new paper, which should have delivered today from Amazon, and then we'll be in good shape there. Also ordered another paper towel holder. When you're working over here on a drive shaft, a diff, axles, whatever, it was really annoying to have to walk over there to fetch more paper towels. So we got one of these. It's adhesive, but I drilled some holes in it and ran some wood screws up into the wood. So we get another paper towel holder here. Little stuff that just helps productivity and ultimately helps the bottom line because we can do more work in a day, more billable work in a day, I should say. Anyways, the end of Thursday, back hurts, need to go home, shower, and eat. Talk to you guys tonight. We also got our dismantler license plate finally, so cars that don't have plates or aren't registered here will be able to drive legally. I'm gluing some magnets on the back, and then I've glued some felt over top of that so it doesn't scratch the bodywork when we put it on. Oh yeah, we also discovered that the 545 had no Freon or not enough Freon for the compressor to kick on, so we evacuated the system to a vacuum and then put in 2 fresh bottles of AC, and as you saw today, we've got that down to about 39 degrees. We got a little headlight conversation here. So all the time you hear people talking about ways to take apart E39 headlights and replace adjusters. That's commonplace. Replace adjusters, but that's commonplace. They want to make them brighter. They want to put in these crazy Orion, are those the projectors or the halos? I don't even know. But all this aftermarket stuff, you know, buy xenons and all these conversions, and that's all well and good. But here's something I'm noticing. When I drive these, even low mileage, this thing's only 89,000 miles. When I drive these low mileage cars with original headlights, this one probably has broken adjusters. They're a tad low on the road. But the light output is astonishingly poor compared to what I'm used to in my own car. So I've got the European Hellas on there circa 20, I think that set one on in like 2016-ish maybe. The lenses are clear filmed, which probably reduces light output by about 0.2%. Long story short though, the lenses are clean, they're not hazy, they're not pitted, good conditioned lenses. Now I think that goes a long way, but that's not more than 50% of the difference I'm seeing. My ballasts are original, 226,000 miles, 22 years old, original headlight ballasts. So I don't really think the ballasts are responsible. If you start to see a pinkish light or a really yellow light, then that could be indicative of ballast failure. But I think what I'm noticing here are really old D2S xenon bulbs in conjunction with poorly aimed headlights, in conjunction with tired lenses. Yes, you can restore the lenses using an AutoZone kit. They look 70% better for a few weeks. It's not a good solution. It's not a permanent solution, though it's an improvement over what they were, I suppose. So, you know, putting the Hella Euros, a new set of those on the car with or without clear film, makes a tremendous difference. It has as much light output, I would say, as the F10 M5 with the LED, adaptive LED headlights, in terms of light output, light quality, the pattern on the road, the beam projection. They are truly stellar headlights. Yeah, they're expensive. I sell them for $1,100 a set, shipped and taxed to the United States. They get here in about 7 days from Denmark. And that is, to me, the biggest upgrade you can do to an E39. That and the Blue Bus. Like, if you buy a used one of these in average condition, those are the biggest 2 things to get bang for your buck in terms of nighttime drivability, and then all the comfort and convenience options that the Blue Bus adds. And I am going to get off here and get gas if I can. It's tight. We can do it. No one is there. We exit 4 lanes at once. So that's the end of the rant. You don't need anything aftermarket. Just bite the bullet, replace your headlights. As I came to a stop, something hit my foot, and it is a self-tapping Phillips screw from the pedal box ceiling. So I'm going to have to dig into that tomorrow. Additionally, I got an error message that is now gone for rear lights. I got out and looked, and you know, the pre-facelift E39 taillights have 2 incandescent or halogen bulbs. What's the difference there? Somebody leave me a comment. Nate's already typing. 2 bulbs in each for just the regular tail lights, not the brake lights. The left one, the left light on the left bulb on the right tail light was out. So this is why I test drive these customer cars. I don't like giving people cars back that have check display codes and just stuff wrong with them. But another quick thought on the headlights though, the bi-xenons. My E46 330 had bi-xenons. I think I've had this rant before on the vlogs, but the bi-xenon, I love the technology. I love that it's a nice crisp, brighter, or kind of a whiter light that is really crispy. You turn it on, there's no fade of an old halogen or something. So that's nice about it. But the light output is just so much less. Like my E39's high beams are brighter and ultimately a better high beam. They throw more light further than the bi-xenons did. Now, to play devil's advocate here, I never replaced the lenses, the headlights, or the bulbs on my 330. So perhaps I just had tired bulbs and a little hazy lenses that weren't doing as good of a job as they could. But I would rather have the E39 set up to the bi-xenons on the E46. Now, moving to the E60, that had bi-xenons, and those are worlds better than the E46 and the E39. In terms of high beam, I mean, on the E60. The low beams are pretty much as good as an E39. They are as good. I don't think much better than the E39. Maybe if you really like that, what do they call them, adaptive headlights. Ours move up and down, but the E60s move left and right too, which is really neat. And that's actually been surprisingly reliable. I don't see that really fail, and I think they fixed the adjuster problem because I don't see those fail either. Second time at the Shell today. We're going to put in about as much gas as I've used, which is a little less than a quarter tank. So it's the middle front screw holding up the pedal box sealing that fell out. I tried to put it back in while the gas pumped, and there's no body nut in the dashboard that it screws into. So you put it in there and it kind of goes in, it threads into the leather hole where there should be a body nut, but it needs a body nut, so I'll fix that tomorrow.